right, good evening, everyone. We will get started with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started with the regular portion of the meeting, we do have a conditional use hearing.
Yes, this is the conditional use hearing for the property located at 129 Viola Lane. Do we have any public comments concerning the conditional use hearing? Okay. With that, I believe the engineer is going to say a few things on behalf of Pencor Holdings.
Good afternoon, Tibin Zerby with Nittany Engineering, Division of Century Engineering. Do you guys have the plan that was presented in front of you by chance? Okay. I guess, have you guys looked over everything? Are you familiar with the whole proposal? I can kind of give you an overview of everything if you'd like.
I have, speaking for myself.
Okay. I'll run just a quick overview. As stated, the property's at 129 Viola Lane. It's about 2 miles east of Penn's Cave. The property is owned by Pencor Holdings, Bob and Jill Decker, who are here. And currently, the property has an existing structure, and they're looking to renovate that existing structure and add another structure behind it. They're looking to have wedding venue, receptions, different activities, different uses. They don't really want to limit it to weddings, but really just a recreational center, anything from farmers markets on the property. You can see on the sketch plan that we went through the ordinance, have been working with the zoning officer and presented it to the planning commission. Looked at different things with go along with the development, stormwater. We did do sewage testing with DEP. We're working through that planning process. We did look at the ordinance and got a determination on parking, so we have some proposed parking. There is screening that's proposed, kind of all covered on the sketch plan that you guys looked through. And then the last plan was just some pictures to familiarize yourself with the property. I did mention we presented it to the planning commission, and they recommended approval to you guys, which is why we're here. And I believe the only comment, I guess, that they had was in relation to a dry hydrant easement. You guys have any questions for myself or Mr. and Mrs. Decker?
I just had one question. Is it the intent to rent this house that's here, fix it up and rent it? Is that?
That's correct.
Yeah.
It's going to be an option with the venue.
Yeah, okay. No, I don't have any other questions. I have none.
Okay. We will be preparing findings of fact and conclusions of law. Are you guys satisfied if we use the information submitted through the application for that as well?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the conditional use contingent upon approval of the findings of fact.
I will make that motion. I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion?
I don't hear.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to the regular portion of the meeting. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Pam could not be with us today. She lost her father last week, so she's dealing with some family things this evening. For public comment, we have Austin McCown.
My name is Hobson McCown. I'm currently a resident of Ferguson Township. And I come again here to speak to you in regard to the right to know law, what's going on with that, and how sometimes, for some reason, violence comes from it, and it should not. It just so happens that a right to know request turned up a video recently of someone grabbing my tie while the supervisors were in executive session. This is a meeting several months ago. And so it would otherwise be easy for me to tell a story that no one would believe, except for the fact there were people there who saw it, and now there's video. Sometimes the right to know law can be important to expose things, to explain why it's there in the first place. And this was part of a series of incidents that started with my public comment regarding the town hall meeting. Following that, I was accosted by someone who, at the time, I did not know who that was. But I came to find out it was a township resident, Jim Smith. And he told me what I had to say was bullshit and so on. And for some reason, he was agitated and seemed like he might become belligerent. At some point, he advanced toward me, and this was half a room of people leaving. Some people might have seen it. But someone got in the way of that. So there, nothing happened. I just thought he was a citizen. Sometimes there's people getting flamed. We all get emotional sometimes. That's fine. But when I spoke about that incident at the next public meeting I attended here, as I was speaking, Jim Smith uttered that he didn't do what I said and identified himself as that person to the crowd. And then during the executive session, I asked him, did you not mean to assault me the last time I saw you? He said, no. And he wrung his fingers around my tie and said I would know that he meant to hit me. And my understanding of this was that he would choose the place and time if that were to occur. And this kind of intimidation, to me it just looked like a citizen with whatever interests he may have that are, I don't know what source they are, but then I can come to find out that he's apparently a school board member. He's employed here to open and close the building. He just got elevated to some sort of emergency services position. And so then it starts to look like people who are involved with local government are in the business of virtue signaling to people and intimidating. I'm not going to stop doing what I do because of that intimidation, but I see what's going on. And I want to link that with something I experienced today following right to know request with the county. I went to the sheriff's office today, filed some right to know requests. Brian Samsel deals with those, and he says they take up all of his time, which is an exaggeration, but that's what he says. I spoke with him on some other matters as well. And in between those, I happened to be standing in the lobby, and there was a point where I overheard a phone call between him and an assistant district attorney where, for some reason, that they were talking about me. And I heard the attorney say, crazy like Hobson McCown. And I thought, what serendipity for me to be there to hear that. And then later, after I talked to Samsel again, I overheard him in an agitated expression want to slam his head in, I didn't hear what, like a can or something, I didn't quite hear. All right, these are private moments behind closed doors, which is one thing, but if you pair these things together, painting somebody a certain way with emotions that may cause violence, the idea, what this boils into, is using slander and misrepresentation to make it easy to attack people who are trying to do their civic duty. And we all have to be vigilant for government to work. It does not work without the vigilance of citizens and their direct involvement with government. Otherwise, it devolves into organized criminality.
Mr. McCown, we typically do 5 minutes for public comments. Could you wrap it up in the next 30 seconds or so?
Sure.
Thank you.
I don't want people grabbing my tie and telling me that they're going to choose time and place of headache. If that happens, then we'll move this story forward and maybe figure some things out, but it's obnoxious to me. It shouldn't be happening, and your officials should not be involved in this kind of intimidation, because we need people to be civic, we need people to volunteer and be part of government, not be intimidated from it. And if that's allowed to continue and more people to do it, you appear to become a Pennsylvania criminal organization, which can be investigated criminally and civilly under state law. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Move on to liaison reports. First, we have solicitor's report.
Nothing to report from the solicitor that's not being addressed elsewhere in the agenda. No pending rate and no log requests or anything like that.
Emergency management coordinator.
I have nothing to report, except that we talked out in the hall. I didn't grab your tie, I touched your tie. We shook hands, and I said there was no problem. Do you remember that part? They said we filled.
Sir, public comments have ended.
EM's, well, I think I ought to be able to announce that, because he accused me of accosting him.
Well, there's a time and place, and we could address it after.
Okay, for emergency management coordinator, there hasn't been really anything, there hasn't been any flooding, no severe storms.
Jim, just a couple things. I think it would be good if we get together, you, Domer, maybe even Scott, Brandon, to kind of go over what the protocol and procedures are for things like down tree calls, things like that. So that's one thing. The other thing would be, Brandon got a call about a tree in Sinking Creek that needs to be removed out of the creek. So it might be good to coordinate to help get that tree out of
It's going to have to go through the fishing mission and drag it out.
Well, it's
Fish and
through,
Wildlife's there.
It's-
I
they're
talked-
doing that stream
I
bank
talked with
improvements.
Dave Teller's the one who called me, so I talked with him. It's all, and if we want to spend, how we want to do that, I mean, who's going to help, and if you want to give us and the backhoe for a day, or however it wants to be coordinated or needs to be coordinated, that's,
Okay.
I guess.
Get hold of me.
Thank you. Fire company.
We were limited on calls as far as last month goes. We only had about 8 calls. Our biggest deal was a cat stuck in a tree, about 80 feet up. Well, it was only about 30 feet up. But as soon as we got to the top of the ladder, it kept going. And when it cleared to the top, the tree didn't have any branches. And the lady said, I want my cat down. And I said, ma'am, first of all, she's back in Lingle Valley where it's all woods, and we couldn't fly a truck in there to get it. So I said, there's only one way to do this. And she said, I know what you mean. And I said, well, we can make it rain, so we did. The cat came down. Not intentionally with hard water, but it came down because it was getting wet. I'm proud to say we are coming off our best carnival in years. We don't have total numbers yet, but I can tell you that it's much, much better than it has been in years past. We had a great parade. I had several comments about that. Everybody enjoyed the parade. We had, I miscounted my apparatus, I forget what it was. But we had more apparatus this year than we've had in a long time. I would like to thank Carrie for sitting in our dunker for us. That was awesome. Same with Domer and everybody else who sat in. It generated a lot of money this year, a lot more than it normally does. I also want to thank our local businesses for all the donations for ground prizes, raffle tickets, whatever they donated to. We did basically everything on donations. And we also had a lot of prizes donated back, such as raffle ticket prizes, cash prizes. People donated a lot of that back. Also, parade prizes. Instead of trophies this year, we gave cash. A lot of those were given back to us, and we sure do appreciate that. We are going to, I've kind of made a 5-year plan here, or a foreseeable future plan, if you will. I would like to,
It's just before you get, you're coming from Center Hall.
Okay, we're back. Where were we?
I just finished talking about the physical plant report. I just wanted to add the United Way Day of Caring, where they provide volunteers and paint, things like that. That will be October 3rd. So we're getting some help there, and there's some concrete at the ball field that needs to be sealed and painted. There's some buildings that need to be painted. There's also some painting to do around here. So we'll be glad for that help.
Anything else for Old Gregg School? Okay, Penns Valley Code Enforcement Agency, Mike Lesniak is not here. He sent his report, I believe, last week. You have that. Any comments on the report?
I have none. I read it. I don't remember.
EMS, Lindsay is not here as well. There was a advertised joint municipal meeting regarding EMS with the entire valley. Mostly the discussion out of that is, at least for the coming year, we'll need to make a decision to commit the $500,000 equivalent like we had the previous couple years. So budgeting's coming up in the next couple months, and we need to keep that in mind. Anything else you guys have for EMS?
I do know.
Regional Planning Commission has not met since our last couple meetings. I believe there is a meeting in September though.
September 16th in this room at 7.
Planning Commission also did not meet this month due to lack of agenda items. One comment I do want to make there, actually two comments. Regarding the conditional use, an issue that came up during conditional use discussions was the definition of recreation. When we were looking at that ordinance a few years ago with the skating rink, the ordinance originally just said outdoor recreational. Then we changed that to outdoor and indoor recreational, but we never really defined what that was. So it was a pretty broad definition, which caused a little bit more discussion to have to go on with that. So I think that that's something that should be looked into more, is making sure that we define recreation a little bit better, because this could come up again as
Would the planning commission be taking a shot at that? Designing
right,
regulation?
yeah. So we have the planning commission for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Tri-municipal park. Bill.
Just a real quick update. We're hoping for rain, not torrential rain, but enough rain to get the grass growing. It is growing. It's getting greener. We've had 2 mowings provided for us by the Scott's Landscaping. They're done one more time, probably next week. So that will all have been part of the contract to get that going. Fields will not be available until next summer. When you talk about spring sports, that's like really the way it is this fall. You have no grass growing in the spring to really get the stand the grass any better than what it is in the fall. So we want to protect that and get a good stand. We have some interest from a couple groups within the valley that actually have connections with Scott's, and we think we can work out something where we'll get some money for some maintenance for that. So I would be glad anybody wants to go up and meet me at the park and go up and see what we have there now. I'd be glad to take anybody up there anytime you want to do that. So
The Tri Park had hired a fundraiser this year. Is there any movement on fundraising?
he's working, I guess, sort of behind the scenes. He's contacting some of the larger donors. What's really coming back at this point from him, and we don't have a formal report, we had a discussion last meeting, but essentially he thinks we need to be able to show a little more stuff up there on the park to really get people, to move forward. So that's kind of where we are with, I think the pavilion is probably the next thing that we really want to shoot for. There is going to be an effort to plant, I think it's around 75 trees next year through a grant. And so we're working with Paul, and he's given us some ideas too on things from the professional standpoint of a fundraiser, how to move ahead with some things. So that's basically where we are. Any questions?
I just wanted to add that there's a meeting at the park tomorrow morning about the story walk, installation of the story walk.
You say there is?
Yeah,
Okay,
and I think it's at 9 a.m. at the Borough Building, Center Hall Borough Building.
okay.
The story walk is a series of posts with a slate on it. The story begins at one point in the trail, and there are 20 stations. The story continues. It's for children. Center County Library is funding this, and they can change the story over time. So that will enhance the park somewhat, and the meeting tomorrow is to decide when we're going to drill the holes and put the posts in for the slates.
I guess there is some discussion right now. They were to provide the labor for that.
Yeah, they're asking for the labor. At first, they said they would take care of everything, I think.
Right.
But they are paying for all the stuff. But
Well, they gotta pay for the labor then.
I think they want volunteers. I guess if nobody volunteers, they'll have to pay for it.
Well, that we need to discuss on the next meeting.
Yeah, or tomorrow even. I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
I,
We'll move on from that. You guys can discuss that.
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
I probably cannot be there. Did you have another question you wanted to?
Yeah, the line of credit renewal,
Yeah, we
with
don't,
Jersey Shore State Bank.
No, that's
that's just
simply,
for us to discuss.
yeah, you know about that from before, don't you?
Right, for the PennDOS loan, we had to agree to open the $50,000 line of credit.
Right.
I'm assuming with the moving of accounts from Jersey Shore, it's up for renewal, so we just need to make a motion to approve renewal of the $50,000 line of credit. Currently, there's nothing being used out of it, it's just there as a net for that PennDOS.
PennDOS wanted us to do that, yes.
Yeah, as long as, till we finish paying off what we owe Penvest, that needs to be in place. And you would have to be agreeable to spend any of that money, so it's basically sitting there as a guarantee.
Yeah.
Okay?
I'll entertain a motion to approve renewal of the line of credit for the tri-municipal park.
I'll make the motion. I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimous. No water and sewer report, so that's good. Moving on to Secretary Treasurer's report, I'll entertain a motion to approve the July 11th, 2019 Board of Supervisors meeting minutes.
I will make that motion. A second here.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimous. I will entertain a motion to accept and approve the all funds financial report.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Any further discussion?
None. No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimous. Next week is the Pennsylvania Association of Municipal Administrators Conference in Pittsburgh, so we need to approve Pam to attend that. I think this will probably be one of the most beneficial conferences for her to attend, so.
I will make that motion. Yeah, I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimous. Right to know report is attached. Any comments on that? Okay, Roadmasters report.
We got our fuel tanks dug out, sent away. We didn't have any fuel on the ground. It went pretty smooth. It only took us not even a day. Have a few other issues with that there now. I don't know if I guess you're gonna discuss that later on. Township's pretty well finished up. We're going back right now and sweeping up some of the spots, the loose stones. We had the grader out. We did some grading on the graded Blue Bowl, Ginger Gap, put some stones down here and there. We started mowing today. Yesterday and today, they actually took the deck off, Lower Georgia Valley Muddy Creek Bridge, so we are underway on that. It's been a while, but I guess PennDOT's ways of holding things up sometimes aren't what everybody wants to hear, but it is what it is. Other than that, really, a rainy day, we went down and measured and checked the condition of the pipes on Ginger Gap, as we had talked in the last meeting about potentially doing something next year with that road, so you guys are okay with it, I guess. We'll just go ahead and order what pipes we need and get them put in here in the fall. there's not a lot of bikes on that road, it's not, so it's not gonna be a big deal. So, I don't know. The only other thing I have is, if you guys want, I met with Dave Keller after he contacted me about, the tree in the creek by the ball field. It's like a 34-foot willow tree, and he wanted, they have the tracker sitting up there right now, but they don't wanna pay to move it down the road, and they said they really don't, they don't have to, but they would suggest it come out of the creek. I mean, so it's all what you guys wanna do, if you wanna donate us for a day to get this out with maybe Jim, and they said they'd provide some labor on that as well too, but.
It's pretty big tree
Yeah, I think
hanging
it's
out in there,
3 or 4.
so it's
There's a
causing
few
the
of them
water to
right.
come along.
Back towards the road.
Yeah, and
Oh,
it's
okay.
wearing away at the bank.
Yeah, okay. Do you need a motion for that?
Yeah, let's do, I'll entertain a motion to approve the township's assistance in removing the tree from Sinking Creek.
I would make that motion. I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimous. Anything else?
Uh,
Bridge inspection reports did come in, so if you can review those in the off, there's a big thing for each one of the bridges. Review that before the next meeting so we can discuss anything that needs to be addressed on those
Yeah.
before then.
Okay.
Unfinished business, the underground storage tanks, like Brandon said, have been removed. However, we just got an email from Mike McGuire, who's doing it, that he wasn't able to salvage any of the diesel because of the way it was contaminated, like he had originally thought. So to pay for the disposal of that will be close to $3 grand. So that will be an additional expense on that. So I need a motion, I'll entertain a motion to approve the cost for disposal.
Are there any alternatives?
Not that I know of. This is a pretty immediate, like it has to be done so we can move through the closing of the closing reports and stuff with DEP meeting.
Okay.
Like in the email, he said he needed it within 10 days. Well, that was about a week ago, so we're at the
Right.
10 days.
Getting near the limit, okay. Well, I make the motion, we go ahead and pay for removal of the diesel, or I guess recycling it, or whatever they do with it. I don't know what they do with it, but yeah, cost of $3,000.
It's a shame, but, you know, we gotta do what we gotta do, so I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimous. Another point on that is we did submit a letter to DMS, the original company, telling them that we wanted our money back for the issues that they caused. We will have to have an executive session here in the near future to discuss those legal matters. But the recommendation for this additional cost would be to include that in what we're requesting back from DMS. So that's where we stand with that. Any further questions on the underground storage tank? Okay. Sarah Campbell Lane, it has been paved and the top coat has been done on it. I believe it's pretty much done.
It looked like they were putting topsoil back up against it. I mean, the shoulders looked down, they were putting topsoil on it, and all the signs are up, so.
The issue though, at this point, is we still haven't had our engineer out to review it and make sure that everything is up to township standards. So, not that we have anything to approve right now, but, you know, we're gonna need some sort of right-of-way agreement and stuff coming up in the near future. So Don Franson is pretty busy. He's now College Township's full-time engineer. So it has been recommended to us that we start looking for a new engineer because of his time constraints. But in regard to Sarah Campbell Lane, it may be weeks before he can even get out. So nothing more that we can do until possibly the next meeting. So any questions on that? Penns Cave Road is a part of this whole project. PennDOT had talked to the township a couple years ago about the proposal to turn back Penns Cave Road, back to Ridge Road. PennDOT has finally submitted that proposal. You all received a copy of it. Any questions, comments, anything at this time?
Not at this point.
Well, I would just say that taking over one of PennDOT's roads, long-term is a losing proposition for the township. We may not have to worry about spending much money for the first 20 years or so, but after that, it will be our road to repave, maintain, plow, fix the berm on, all those things. And it's a loser. That's where tax dollars trickle away to, things like that. So my feeling is that we should not take it back. Let PennDOT do what they will with it, and we'll move on. We're already taking Sarah Campbell Lane. We had to do that because it was a possibility that Penns Cave would close Penns Cave Road where it goes by their animal pens, and that road would be endless. It would have an end to it then. So we agreed to take over Sarah Campbell Lane, but I don't want to agree to take over more from PennDOT. I think it's too expensive.
I guess maybe we ought to say what is on the table now is from, including Sarah Campbell Lane, back on Penns Cave Road to the intersection of Ridge Road is what is on the table now. Their proposal, for those who didn't know.
And there's the potential that PennDOT will not turn back the rest of Penns Cave Road to Penns Cave, should we not take the rest of that road back to Ridge Road. But I would agree at this point with Doug that I do not wish to take that over. That's my feelings at this time. But we will have to make some sort of decisions or questions or talk to PennDOT if there's anything further. Otherwise, it'll just end up sitting. So do you have any comments?
Not right now.
All right. No motions regarding this at this time?
No.
We'll table that till next month. Lower Georges Valley Bridge update, you already gave that. There were no items listed on here as new business, but we do need to start looking, like I said, for a new engineer. So we should probably start that process so that by the beginning of the year, we have something set. I don't think we have a whole lot going on other than the Sarah Campbell Lane and Penns Cave Road for the rest of the year. So I think we could take some time to see where we go with that. The Department of Local Government Services was in this week. They have a program that it's a grant, but you have to match part of it in order to have, what kind of plan?
Oh, a 5-year plan or
Yeah.
a funding plan?
For the township.
Or
So somebody else will
potentially-
be coming in. They want to
Yeah.
meet with us just to tell us what that program
Yeah.
is. So you should hear about that.
What do you call it,
pretty soon.
strategic plan, is that what you call it? Yeah,
We did, under correspondence, received a letter from a resident regarding fireworks that have been being set off frequently around their property. I don't know if that's something that we want to just pass down to Planning Commission to discuss and see if they have any recommendations.
okay. Yeah.
She asked that we consider an ordinance regarding it, so at the very least, we can have a discussion on it. So.
Yeah, okay.
Anything else?
Not here.
Okay. Tomorrow is Penns Valley Night at the State College Spikes. The Board of Supervisors, along with the other local townships and their supervisors and borough councils, will be down on the field and being recognized. So if you have nothing else to do and you want to come hang out at the Spikes game, we will be there at 7:05. So if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
I will second that.
Okay, meeting adjourned. The next meeting is September 12th.